And having said that, though, I mean, I still think there's obviously hours and hours and hours of work that go into it, especially if you're the person behind the scenes. If you're not, director can do what they need to do, photographer, but if you're a makeup artist, every single day you got to continue to shellac that makeup on somebody and make them look just like they did the day before. And then you're the actor who sits there in the chair for 4 hours to get. I mean, what was his name? But Batista. How long was that makeup just to be Drax? Like that's
Yeah.
crazy. So I hope it definitely pans out, even if it means a slower release time. I hope it pans out for the people before a strike. I hope they really don't
Yeah.
have to get to that extreme, but it sounds like this we've been heading this way for a long time. So
But I mean, I'll take 2 Marvel movies a year versus 4 if that means that
yeah,
you know, Cameraman 2 doesn't crash on his way home because he fell asleep. You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah, that was something that was mentioned in the article is that a lot of people are running the risk of falling asleep at the wheel, even just going home. So
Yeah.
like that to me, man, I lucked out being able to work as much as I can during the pandemic. I've never had to do that,
No.
thankfully. But
Yep.
yeah, to your point, I'll take two, one. We
Yeah.
waited a year for Endgame. That's cool. I'll
Yeah.
come on, man. Stay safe out there, guys.
Yeah.
But I digress. Next up, new releases, new releases. That was longer than 5 minutes for
Sorry.
whatever. No big deal. It was a good topic though. Needed to be said. This week, the first new release, The Guilty. This is the movie that I said earlier I felt like had good sound direction, sound design, because the movie more or less takes place only with Jake Gyllenhaal, period. It's not like, and he is a cop who has done something, we don't know what, at the beginning. And then he's then put on the 911 call booths. And he's just picking up 911 calls, directing people to wherever they got to be. That's fine. And then he gets a phone call from someone who basically says she's been abducted, and his hero mentality character kicks in, right? And the whole episode is him trying to talk to other dispatchers, other units, whatever, and trying to talk to this lady. And most of the camera work is super up close on his face, and most of the camera work and the sound direction gives you like an enhanced phone call. Like you're definitely not going to hear like the sirens or a car traffic most time now because the phones have noise canceling technology in
Right.
it. But you're definitely getting a lot more like panicky kind of suspense because you can't see anything. And it's the same
Right.
perspective for the character you're watching. So you can see him kind of freaking out, but he's also kind of got like what seems to be asthma the entire time. So he'll start having what looks like a panic attack, and then he'll start to kind of close in a little bit and have to do his inhaler and all this kind of. So like the whole film was anxiety riddled.
Yeah. It
Um,
sounds very claustrophobic.
oh yeah, I mean even just look at the poster. It's his face right up in your
Yeah.
face. Just here I am. And of course the entire time too, like he's in the 911 center, and I don't know if this is really what they look like. I imagine it's not, but in this movie version, there's just a bank of like TVs that show the news like constantly, and it's like, oh, there's LA fires and like riots and stuff. Like it's just pandemonium, and I'm like, dude, that's going to be stress inducing in the first place. I barely
Yeah.
watch the news as it is because of that.
Yeah.
Like I don't need, like
Yeah.
I know the world's kind of a trash bag most of the time, but I don't have to remember it. That's why I watch
Yeah.
Marvel shit.
Yeah.
I can hopefully see a hero win in the end.
Yeah.
But no, he's blowing out those fires. But
Come
yeah,
on,
so
Superman.
yeah,
Save me.
but that was definitely an intense movie. I won't spoil any of the details for anybody, but watch to the end. If you get to a point where you're like, can't do it, finish it out. Finish it out. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'll
That's
tell
all
you
I'm gonna say.
what. There are 2 occasions I can remember where I stopped watching something seconds too early. One was Drive. Do you remember Drive with Ryan
Oh,
Gosling?
with Ryan Gosling. Yeah, yeah. Oh
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So I watched up to the point where what's her face? What's her name? Redhead from Mad Men.
Christina Hendricks.
Christina Hendricks. I watched up to the point where she walks into the bathroom. I was like, this is boring, and I turned it off. And someone was like, no, you need to
Yeah, go back.
you need to go. And like I was like, I watched her. I went back to the second time. I watched her walk in the bathroom. I was like, and then I was like, oh my god, what just happened?
Yeah.
Literally like 3 seconds past the point where I stopped. Yeah. And then the second one was was actually Squid Game. I started to watch the first episode, and I was like, nah, I don't like this. And then it just like kept like showing up in my feed, and I was like, oh, I gotta try this. I guess I gotta push past this opening or whatever. And
Yeah.
it's worth it.
It's definitely. I mean, it's the same thing with like Midnight Mass. Like now I've got to watch that. Now I've got to watch Squid Game, and I'll probably power through those this weekend. I don't want to, but I can't wait to be on the other side of it, being like, I'm so glad I did. You know, like
Yeah.
It's same thing with like Breaking Bad. Like I was watching Breaking Bad at like the third season because I was finally like, okay, I'll watch it. And like, of course, like the first couple of episodes of Breaking Bad, he's still a good person and a teacher, and then
Right.
you're like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Good time.
Throws a pizza on the roof. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The next up, I just finished moments before this episode. Actually, Sam, I gotta find his tweet. I'll do it later. Sam basically said that this movie was a culmination of a particular director's work, just hodgepodged all together and then packaged and delivered. I don't know anything about that person, but I would have to assume this was because like every single like plot twist was in this. So like the entire time you're kind of going, okay, I know that I know nothing. Like every time I think I know something, because now I've had like 5 plot twists, I got nothing. And it's when it's the same thing when a scary movie has a like a jump scare every 10 seconds, you become numb to it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But it was definitely, again, I knew it from the get-go. It was going to be teenage angsty, full of teenage angsters, not gangsters, but angsters. And they did this like perfect meld of every person, right? So like it felt like every spectrum of person was represented, which was great. Like nobody was left behind, including neo-Nazis, because reasons. You had gender fluid folks, you had people of all races, and you had interracial couples. Like it was great to be inclusive when it comes to murdering everybody, right? Like that's how I like my horror movies.
Well, how tropey did they get with
the hate
with
evenly?
How tropey did they get with like the murder? Because like there tends to be an order when we're talking about race and horror movies. So did it follow that trope, or was it like more random and potentially more realistic?
No, it was definitely like I wouldn't say it was more random. It was more the jockey white guy gets it first, which is great. Immediately watching him die was like that's wonderful.
That kind of harkens me back to like the old Friday the 13th movies, where the jock is like just banging the cheerleader out in the woods. And, as soon as you see 2 teenagers having sex in a horror movie, they're dead. Like that's they're punching their own ticket there.
Him being like in the first couple of scenes, I was like, sweet, we get the biggest person out. Like that's Lord of the Flies to me, right? Like who's most likable, who's the biggest person, you're done. Okay, moving right along. But I will say, like at a certain point, you start to figure out, because the whole movie is more or less around the murderer is trying to unearth your secrets and then share them with everybody as they're murdering you. Like, hey, you thought nobody knew about this? Well, everybody knows now. And then they are 3D printing a mask to wear that looks just like the person they're murdering. So it's like your secret has now come to kill you, kind of thing.
So it's like I Know What You Did Last Summer on steroids.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And in hindsight, a 3D printed mask should have been more of a tell.
Right.
Like, who's out there 3D printing masks? Because that's 3D design, it's modeling, it's all that. And then
the print process probably is going to take 24
right.
to 36 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. And who's got the money?
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway. But it was fun. I mean, it's one of the first kind of horror things. It's new that I've watched this season. So obviously, Midnight Mass came out earlier. I probably could have watched that, but I didn't. I'm not going to keep telling everybody about it. And then finally,
Squid Game.
for new releases, Squid Game. This looks gnarly. Like if this was so Netflix, I found out like 2 years ago, has been doing crazy optimization tests when it comes to the little clips not clips, but like the cover art and the little screen grabs like this that they share when you're watching Netflix. And you can see that in even just blipping down the screen or down in your menu feed of like, okay, I want to see what new releases are. I want to see top 10 in America. I want to see horror. And you'll see Squid Game 3 times, but it's 3 different cover arts because they're trying to see what one you like, right?
Right.
The same thing with like the movie San Andreas. Do you see San Andreas with The Rock, and then like 2 rows later, do you see San Andreas with Alexandria Daddario or whatever? Which one are you clicking on? Well, that even happens across accounts. So like I would see it on my feed, Michelle would see it on hers, and a completely different set of cover arts. This cover art is ridiculous, right? Like, and for a while, I just saw the circle, triangle, and square, and I'm pretty sure, like everybody else who uses a joystick, thought PlayStation.
Yeah.
And you're just like, where's the X that marks the spot?
Yeah.
Because I don't get it. But now I'm kind of like, and all I'm seeing now is like memes, like of just shots of the show. I'm like, okay, I've got to watch this now.
Yeah, that's kind of what pushed me to just binge it as much as I could. I didn't want to get anything ruined. I saw people I follow on YouTube were like breaking down stuff, and I was like, okay, I just need to watch it so I can kind of like get caught up on this other content about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and like,
yeah.
I think the one that's triggered me the most, and this is going to be not really telling about me at all, actually, is the weird robot mannequin with crazy eyes, like the pink robot thingy, and I'm just like, I don't even know what that is. I got to know if it's just laser beams coming out of this thing's eyeballs, or if it's just like looking for facial recognition, or like there's a picture of just like a dude holding the back of the shirt of another dude before he falls on the ground, and it looks like they're kind of standing still, and I'm like, okay, is that like, and the memes for it are great. They're like, this is me, and then the guy holding me up is like knowing that tomorrow's Friday, or like, this is me, and the guy holding me up is like that first cup of coffee, like that kind of like. Like, I need to know what this is. Don't watch. Sean just said, sadly got the ending ruined by myself because of YouTube autoplay. Oh, that sucks so bad.
Yeah, Sean, I've decided with New Rockstar specifically that I have to unsub from their channel when something new comes out, because they
thumbnails
notoriously put something in the thumbnails. Like Into the Spider-Verse came out, and I shit you not, their thumbnail to say where they were going to say, we're going to break down the post-credit scene. The thumbnail for that video was Spider-Man 2099. And I was like, are you shitting me right now?
D-holes. The worst.
And they've done it a few times, even recently, where they'll put something in the thumbnail that's very spoilery. It's crazy. So if there's something I care about that I don't want spoiled, I will have to unsub for that amount of time. So
to me, like that's doubly hurtful, right? One is like the minute you realize they are going to spoil it, and I probably should have had this banner up the entire time we were just talking. Oops. Spoiler alert.
I don't know if we've actually talked about many spoilers
for Squid Game, and I've actually been pretty good about it, if I'm being totally honest. But like, if you know that channel does spoil, and then you start to see that the thumbnail spoil, to your point, unsubscribe. Unfortunately, I'll get like the YouTube algorithm will still serve me some bullshit, and most of the time, I just assume that it's like really hacky photoshops of something, or something that somebody put together. And I have to continue to tell myself that, or I will get totally spoiled on like 95% of the internet.
Yeah.
Same thing with like TikTok now. I have to give it a day or two because the algorithm is so keen, honestly, to the content we talk about on the show that I have to not even touch it for 2 days because I know that's like the first wave of just all the spoilers are coming through.
Yeah.
So I just back off and go down my dark hole of like LinkedIn. I'm like, oh.
Go through your TikTok withdrawals because it's so addictive.
Yeah, it is addictive, man. It's, I gotta be careful because like the more often I think I lose feeling in my legs, the worse I'm gonna be. I
That's right.
gotta make sure I can stand up before I just totally lose all feeling in my toes.
Hey, Oshan, I will support you in going into their Discord to yell at them because it for a channel that like, I mean, they're excellent at reviewing and breaking stuff down and going like frame by frame through stuff and picking out things and connecting it to comics and other movies, and they're just, the content's incredible. They don't think about the thumbnail and how it's just going to ruin it for people that don't go out the first weekend to see the new thing,
Yeah, especially on the heels of a pandemic, I feel like there's got to be like a 7-day rule, at least for a little bit. Like I was definitely on like the 24-hour rule for a while.
Yeah. On Twitter, Rahul Kohli was like, "Hey man, can we stop with all the Midnight Mass spoilers because it's only been out for like 5 days? Can we just chill a little bit?"
Like give me a day per episode. Give me a day per episode. If it's a 9-episode show, 9 days.
Yeah.
Like I can only do it so often that I realize that I'm talking as a 35-year-old man with a young child. And I realized that when I was 19, I'd be like, go fuck yourself, old man. I'm going to watch it all. I'm going to tell the whole world about it. And a 3-second countdown before talking spoilers. Oh, sorry, man. He said I can't reach the mute button fast enough. Yeah, we're definitely working on it. I'm trying. I'm trying.
Well, I think he's talking about new rock stars probably. He's like,
oh, okay, good.
Because if they come out of the gate with a spoiler, which they do sometimes, which they've kind of like trended into doing. It used to be like spoiler warning, and then they give you that time, but now it's like blah 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 blah, and you're like, I didn't watch this yet.
I've got to make like an animation here. If like just throwing up the banner is fine, but that's immediate. I need to make a whole animation where it's like 3, 2, 1, spoiler alert, and then like we roll into it. Now, granted, if we do that every other segment, it's going to be kind of annoying, but I think people are going to be like, thank God, and just kind of.
So to go back to Squid Game, the
serious bus back on the lane. Yeah,
it's a Korean show. It's essentially about a group of mysterious individuals who collect people who are deeply in debt, and got that right in the face. It was spoiler was like gun. Reggie be dead. So this mysterious group of people gather these people that are in deep debt and make them play children's games, and with lethal consequences. And whoever wins
light,
gets
green
a bunch
light,
of money.
Red Rover.
Yeah, that's red light, green light's one of the games. I don't think that's a spoiler. That's
No,
so
children's games I could have. Yeah, I could sit here and name 20 of them.
What I enjoyed about this is opinion, not related to the story or anything. The concept's really interesting. There are these moments of extreme, as you can see in the screenshot, extreme violence, right, and gore, and they're shocking, but at the same time they do a lot in making you care about the characters, specific characters that they focus on for the story.
Yeah.
So you're worried about these characters because you don't know who's living and who's dying.
Right.
And they end up playing 5 games. So there's a lot of time in between the games where you get to kind of see a character arc for quite a few characters. So there are these moments again where they're playing the game, they're strategizing who they can trust, who they can't trust, what their motivations are, why they're so much in debt, and like you just kind of start to love these characters. So if one of them dies, you're like, whoa, I didn't expect that.
Is that like the Game of Thrones rule, or like the minute you have a favorite character, their days are numbered? Like
to a certain degree, yeah, it's similar to that. But it's and things start to unravel. Like you start to figure things. It doesn't unravel. You start to figure more of it out because there's that surface explanation that I told you, but also a deeper you start to see the inner workings of what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's real icky all around.
It's real icky. I'm gonna put that quote tweet. Mike, whatever. It's real icky.
Makes me feel real gross.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've already felt the highest anxiety I felt in a while, and that's coming from somebody who had a colonoscopy last week. So, thanks to the guilty. So let's go ahead and just let's really get on it with Squid Game. And it's funny you say icky, because when I heard Squid Game, and then my brain, it's like cats up in there, plus dogs, plus squirrels, and my brain was like, hentai? Like, is this going to be some fucked up shit? Like, are squid, is this going to be some Evil Dead level tree action? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. The rape tree. Gross.
Yeah, the rape tree. So I was like, okay, Squid Games. And then I'm starting to see all these different, memes. And my other favorite meme from this, and I haven't seen it, is what looks like a makeup pad for like concealer that has like designs drawn in it, and like somebody looks like to be there eating this makeup container, whatever it is. I don't know if it's cookie or whatever it is.
Sure.
But like, it's clearly they're drawing something in it in the show, and then they're like eating it. But all the memes are like, very vulgar, just detailed drawings of vulva and like and things like that. So, or like the morning coffee joke always continues to come up, and it's just like, so I'm interested because the memes are so good. So I'm like, if you can take a snapshot out of something and then make it into 15 different scenarios online that it works, okay, fine, I'm in.
Yeah, and it's so good. I made the cardinal sin of watching it subbed, because dubbed. I watched it dubbed because I couldn't like keep my eyes on the screen the whole time, because I was trying to get caught up. So I was like working and listening to Squid Game and trying to get through it.
Again, I don't judge people that do that. The worst part for me is like Netflix has recently done a really great job of picking up a lot of like foreign content, right? And like, and I try my best not to watch the dub version, because I always find that the dub never matches the person. Yeah. Like, I think, what was it? Ragnarok, the show. Like the voices for those actors are
not good. Not good. That show's great.
Off. Yeah.
But not good.
Super awesome show. Horrible voice, like dubbing. I'm just like, dang, dude. Like we're not even getting like he's a heavier set dude, and his voice is up here like this. I'm like, what? What the shit? Like, you had a limited run. You're like, all right, John, you're up. Dexter, you be the fat guy.
Be on deck. So, just to close this out, apparently, some sort of internet service provider in Korea is currently suing Netflix because of Squid Game.
No,
because it crashed their infrastructure.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm actually
so many people went to stream it that it bogged down the whole system.
That's amazing. Like, fuck Facebook being down. I can give a shit. But like, your entire ISP went down because the popularity of a show that evidently got turned down by so many studios for 10 years.
Is this 10 years old?
Well, he supposedly pitched the show. What's his name? Ooh, I can read. Where's the director on this list? No.
Oh, I didn't put a director on the list.
Well, anyway, he tried to pitch it for like 10 years. And like studios are just like, no. And then finally, he got approval to make it, and it's a smash, right? Like, I don't know if 10 years ago we would have had the stomach for something like this. If it's this kind of intense and graphic, I think we're a lot more like, as a society, a little bit more fucked up now. Like I think a lot of things are kind of like playing a little bit easier. I don't mean like, bigotry and shit like that, but I mean like violence. Yeah, we're definitely like, okay, cool. Yeah.
I think this up. Exactly. I think that Game of Thrones put a large part in that. And if this would have came out at the same time as Game of Thrones, I think it would have been maybe too much. Like, what's happening right now?
I mean,
am I becoming untethered? I don't understand what's going on.
I will never forget the very first moment I saw something on a movie that like made me physically uncomfortable to where I left the room. It was Halloween 2000, and it was a scene where Michael is chasing one of the characters in the film, and she tries to get in a dumbwaiter and go down the dumbwaiter, and it falls on her leg, and I saw that knee snap, and I was just like, I was like 13 years old. I'm like, I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah, for me it was the Toxic Avenger.
Oh.
There's a scene where a group of high school kids are playing the hit and run game. And they hit a kid on a bike, and they're like, "He's still moving. You don't get the point." So they back over him, and I was like, "Okay, yeah." I think I was 7 or 8 at the time, and I was like, "Nah."
Yeah,
no, it's still with me. Like I can't. Still.
I won't say anything specific, but 2 subjects ago, The Guilty. There was a moment in that movie I was like, I'm glad Michelle's not watching this. I'll put it that way.
All
and
right.
I told her about it, and she was like, "What the fuck?" So she was mad I even said it. Like that's how bad the content was. Like, oh, and it's not even on screen. Like your imagination makes it worse. But I digress. All right. Well, there it goes. New releases. Right. Once again, this week's brought to you by